Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is May 17th, 2023. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of news to share with you today. So it might be a little bit of a long stream, so bear with me. There's a lot of news because when it comes to FC Barcelona, this club simply does not stop. Now, some of the news that we'll be discussing is that Mateu Alemany has decided to make a total U-turn and has decided to stay in the club, which is, of course, great news. Also, there's a lot of new midfielders that are being linked with Barcelona, including Joshua Kimmich. And finally, Frank Kessie has told Barcelona that he wants to stay in the club and that he doesn't want to be offloaded come this summer. Lots of news, so let's begin. Let's real quick, I did mention this in yesterday's video, and the live stream on Monday, May 25th, will be the 1-year anniversary of Barca News. So in order to commemorate that special event and in order to show you guys my appreciation for all the support that this channel has gotten, I will be raffling not one, not two, but 3 Barcelona jerseys. And in order to participate in that raffle, make sure to subscribe to the channel is number 1. And number 2 is to send an email to the raffle email, which is included in the description of this live stream. Is also in the description of yesterday's video. Make sure you send your name and your email address, and I'm going to pick a winner from those emails. 3 winners from those emails, and then I'll be mailing the Barcelona jersey to that address that you will include in the email. So make sure it's your correct address. The winner will get to pick what kind of Barcelona jersey they want, whether it's the home, away, or the third kit. They'll also get to pick, of course, the size of the jersey. And finally, they'll get to pick whether they want a number or name on the back of the jersey. So I'm very excited for this raffle. Good luck to everyone. And again, remember, subscribe to the channel. And number 2, send an email to the email address that's down below in the description. Now, having said that, let's start with the news. But I think before I want to discuss the Barcelona news, I want to mention that we now have we know who will be the Champions League finalists, and it's gonna be Manchester City versus Inter Milan. I watched the match today between Real Madrid and Manchester City. Manchester City completely demolished Real Madrid. This wasn't even a close game whatsoever. They won 4-0 with the aggregate being 5-1. And when I say this wasn't even a close match, I don't mean the score, because scores can be misleading sometimes. You know, sometimes you can have a match where someone wins 3-0, but when you actually watch the match, it might be a very, very close match where the other side maybe just got a few more shots than the other one. But this was not the case. Manchester City looked like they were playing against a Europa League team, completely superior to Real Madrid in every way possible, in both the tactical decisions that Pep Guardiola made with their play creation, their passes, their attacks. I mean, everything in every aspect, even the physicality, the intensity, the high pressure. Manchester City was miles and miles ahead of Real Madrid, and I think this match was more of a reflection of what last Champions League was, because I don't think any people forgot to tell Real Madrid that last Champions League, they won it by luck. They didn't win it by merit, because they were not the best team in Europe. In fact, every team that they played, they didn't play that good against. Like PSG played better than Real Madrid when they faced them last season. Manchester City played better than Real Madrid when they faced them last season. And even in the final, Liverpool played way better than Real Madrid. But then Real Madrid got, that one lucky shot, and they ended up winning 1-0. And I think their luck ran out this season. And what happened today was a clear indication, or more of a, if you want to say, more of a deserving scoreline, because Manchester City were superior to Real Madrid in every aspect possible, including last season. I'm very happy to see Pep Guardiola in the final again. Hopefully he can win it. I don't think Inter Milan have any chance or any shot at beating Manchester City. I watched the semifinal between Inter Milan and AC Milan, and I think it was absolutely pathetic match. It looked like 2 Europa League teams. So I don't think Inter Milan has a shot, but anything can happen in football. But again, hopefully Pep Guardiola can win that match. If he does, he would have a shot at winning the treble. If Manchester City win against Chelsea this weekend, they can be crowned Premier League champions. Or even if Arsenal lose their match, Manchester City can become champions even before their match begins against Chelsea. And then if they go on and win the Champions League, that would be the treble and the very long-awaited Champions League for Pep Guardiola, who hasn't won it since he left Barcelona. Now, real quick, while we are on the topic of Real Madrid, it looks like Getafe have filed an official complaint with La Liga for an unlawful lineup in their match against Real Madrid. Because something with Marcos Asensio, I didn't quite understand what had happened. I wasn't really too interested either. This is a Barca channel, not a Real Madrid channel. But the news is they have filed an official complaint. If this complaint is approved, Getafe would get 3 points, with Real Madrid getting 3 points taken away, which would make would put them even further away from Barcelona. And would put Atletico Madrid in second place. What's going to happen? I doubt anything's going to happen. It is Real Madrid after all. And then when it comes to Real Madrid, the rules simply don't apply. Plus, the president of Getafe is a Real Madrid club member anyway. The only reason Getafe filed this complaint is because they had a lot of pressure from their own fan base. Of course, Javier Tebas is also a Real Madrid club member. So nothing really is going to happen. I doubt anything's going to happen. But if it does, that will have implication on who will end up second in La Liga. Now, I really think that Ancelotti might get sacked. Real Madrid started, I remember, with a lot of, when they first started the season, there were a lot of, I think it was us that published this headline saying Real Madrid going for the sextuple. And out of the 6 trophies, they've only won one, which is the Copa del Rey. And they lost a Super Cup to Barcelona 3-1 in the final. They lost La Liga to Barcelona. They're 14 points behind, and they can even lose second place to Atletico de Madrid. I think this has been an awful season for Real Madrid. To lose 2 trophies to your arch rival and then to be humiliated in the Champions League by the ex-coach of your arch rival, I think is definitely going to have its repercussions. And I think this is a wake-up call for Real Madrid that the squad that they have is simply on a decline. They haven't been playing well at all. They didn't last season. Again, they won by pure luck because they had Courtois, who would stop everything, and then Benzema, who was like managing to score the very few shots or very few passes that he would get. I think they definitely need an overhaul of their squad, and I think Carlo Ancelotti might be on his way out. But anyways, I don't want to bore you anymore with the Real Madrid news. Let's start with the Barcelona news, with the huge news, with the bombshell that dropped today in the early hours of the morning. It was a story that was broken by Sport, and then later other reporters confirmed it, and finally Barcelona ended up confirming it as well. And that's that Mateu Alemany has decided to stay in Barcelona. Now, Alemany had notified the club that he was going to leave in June 30th. It looked like he was going to join Aston Villa. There was even talks about him traveling to Birmingham to meet with Aston Villa, to sit down with them. There was even talks about Aston Villa offering him double the salary that Barcelona are currently paying him. And when it seemed like he was on his way out, he apparently met with Joan Laporta, and he's the one who asked Joan Laporta that he wants to stay, that he wants to continue on this project. Barcelona did not offer Alemany anything. They didn't offer him a contract renewal. They didn't offer him a higher salary. There was absolutely no talks about any kind of new offers or anything. It was Alemany that approached Laporta and said, hey, I want to stay. And he will be staying under the same conditions of his current contract. Total U-turn, which has been confirmed by Barcelona. Now, I think that's great news because, again, as I reported in yesterday's video, Jordi Cruyff has announced that he's going to leave. And then once that announcement came out, it was reported that Barcelona was only going to hire Deco to do the jobs of both Alemany and Cruyff. And as I said in yesterday's video, I was really worried about that arrangement because when it comes to doing Cruyff's job, which is to go out there, meet the clubs, meet the players, establish relationships and network, I think Deco has plenty of experience in that field. There's no problem with that because he's been a sports agent for so many years. But when it comes to the job of Alemany, which is more of a management job, more of a CEO-like job, Deco has zero experience in it. I'm not saying he would do a bad job, but, not having experience, that definitely worried me. But not knowing that Alemany will be staying at the club, doing his duties, I think that's very, very comforting. And again, I do trust Deco to do what the job that Jordi Cruyff was already doing. Now, we don't know exactly why Alemany decided all of a sudden to change his mind and decide to stay after it was all done, said and done, that he was going to leave. My personal opinion, and again, this is not confirmed. This is not coming from reports. This is personally my personal opinion. So don't quote me on this. But I really think that there's some kind of rift developed between Alemany and Cruyff. And I say this because for the trophy tour that Barcelona organized on Monday, both Alemany and Cruyff were invited. Cruyff said yes, he went, but Alemany said no. He didn't go. He declined the invitation. And then as soon as Jordi Cruyff decides to resign and not renew his contract with Barcelona, and then all of a sudden Alemany makes a 360 and he decides to stay. So I really think there was some kind of rift between the two, and maybe that's why. But again, this is my personal opinion. We're probably never going to know what the real reason is because, Laporta and Alemany are professionals. They're not going to come out and say, I used to hate that guy, screw that guy. That's why I decided to leave. And now when he decided to leave, I was obviously not going to say that. So we might not never know. But regardless, whatever the reason is, the important thing is that Alemany will be staying with Barcelona to continue. Comment section. And then I want to talk about some midfielders that have been linked with Barcelona. With one of them being a Brazilian midfielder that's going to surprise you. But let's see what everybody's saying in the chat section. My microphone is working, right? Okay. Thank God. For a second, I thought my microphone wasn't working, and I'm like, I've been talking for 10 minutes. Okay, let's see. Dorsey says, what's happening, Mo? Today was an excellent day for Barca fans. Alemany staying and Real losing 4-0. Correction, this has been a great week. Yes, absolutely. Great week. Barcelona come out champions. La Liga, Real Madrid completely humiliated in the Champions League, and then Mateu Alemany is staying here. Barcelona FC I feel sorry for Real Madrid. I don't. Grandmaster Yoda says, I don't think we should get Kimmich. He should go to a place where he wouldn't get wasted. He is not the DM we are looking for. He would have to take De Jong's position. I'll talk about Kimmich in a little bit, so save that thought. Let's see what else. Dorza says, don't hate on Europa League teams. I'm not, but I mean, obviously Europa League teams are not Champions League level. Obviously, they are much better, but I'm sorry. Obviously, Europa League is improving, but they're not Champions League, the same level as the Champions League teams. Let's see. City fan says, silence fell in Madrid tonight, and the streets of Barcelona went mental for Manchester City. Magnificent win over Madrid. Yes, I agree. I mean, this wasn't just a win. This was an absolute destruction of Real Madrid. I mean, the way Manchester City played, my God. I mean, that's what we should all aim to, or as Barcelona, we should aim to play like, because it was an absolute harmony. It was a spectacle of football. Beautiful, beautiful play by Pep Guardiola. Oh, and I see Chuchu in the comment section. What's up, Chuchu, man? You missed several live streams, so it's good to see you back. All right, let's move to the several midfielders that have been linked with Barcelona, starting with Rafael Veiga. You probably never heard of this guy. I hadn't until today. He is a center midfielder out of Brazil. He plays for Palmeiras. He is 27 years old. He had a huge explosion all of a sudden out of nowhere this season. He's been doing really, really well. So far, he has scored 10 goals and provided 6 assists. That's actually a lot for a center midfielder, especially a defensive one. It's reported in Brazil. Brazilian media outlets are saying that supposedly Barcelona are contemplating signing him as a possible replacement for Busquets. His cost will be around 10 to 15 million euros, so definitely very affordable for the club. There's also talks about this guy. He's having such a good season and all of a sudden, hitting his prime or whatever you want to call it, that supposedly he's also going to be part of this whole new generation of the Brazilian squad because, after their failure in the World Cup, the Brazilian Federation are looking to do changes and completely do an overhaul of their squad, and it looks like Rafael Veiga could be part of this whole overhaul. Now, this it's not just Brazilian media outlets who are reporting this. There's also the reporter Joaquim Pereira, I think is his last name, Joaquim Pereira. He's a reporter for sport in Spain. He specializes in the Brazilian market. He's always been, pretty on the dot. He was the first guy to report about Endrick. He was the first guy to report about Vitor Roque, even the first guy to report about Rafinha possibly coming to Barcelona. So there's no reason to doubt his news. Very reliable source of news as far as the Brazilian market. I haven't heard any confirmations from Barcelona itself or any media that's close to Barcelona. So I do have a little bit my doubts about this news. Plus, I do have my doubts because if he's 27 years old and still hasn't managed to get out of the Brazilian league, I think that puts a lot of question marks on this guy. But again, I guess we'll have to see and wait, especially now with Alemany staying And with Deco arriving, things will be changing a lot. There's going to be a lot of news coming out in the upcoming few days and weeks. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel because we are heading in for a crazy ride these next few weeks because there's going to be a lot of things that need to be done, especially when Barcelona received the official green light from La Liga in regards to the feasibility plan. And then with the incorporation of Deco and with Alemany staying, we're going to be looking at some very hectic weeks. I'm looking forward to it as far as the news, but I'm also dreading it because I know it's going to be a lot of work, but I do enjoy doing this, so no complaints here. Let's get back to the comment section, and let's see what you guys are saying. Where did we leave off? Comment section is going by quick. I love it. Also, 41 people liking, but watching, but only 18 people likes. Come on, guys, let's get that like button up. Let's see. Jara King says, really great week to be a Barca fan. Yes, it sure is. Chuchu says, Pep is the greatest coach ever. Dude outcoached Ancelotti. I mean, just demolished him. I mean, and then people like to, talk about tiki-taka is dead and that Pep Guardiola is a bad coach. If he wins the Premier League on this weekend against Chelsea, which is expected that he will, that's going to be 5 out of 6 Premier League trophies, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if you think tiki-taka is dead, you are very wrong, my friend. Let's see. Roy says, hey, guys, put some likes. Don't be shy. Yes, Roy, thank you. He also says, Roy, I feel that Barcelona duplicate herself all around Europe. Arsenal, City, Napoli, they all play Barca style. I mean, yes, it started with, with Barca, and then a lot of teams just had to adapt because they realized, this is a much superior system to just shoot long passes to your wingers and hope something happens. All right, let's talk about the next midfielder that has been linked with Barcelona, and it's no other but Joshua Kimmich, or Kimmich. I think it's Kimmich. I don't know. If any of you know German, let me know in the comment section. But I'm pretty sure it's Kimmich. We all know who Kimmich is. Probably one of the best center midfielders in Europe. Currently plays for Bayern Munich. His contract is up in 2025. And there's talks about the player not being happy at Bayern Munich and that he wants to leave and that he has asked Bayern Munich. He has rejected Bayern Munich's renewal offer. So as soon as that news dropped, of course, all the media outlets started linking him with a possible arrival in Barcelona. Now, how true is this story? Well, are Barcelona interested in the player? Absolutely. Xavi, Laporta, the board of directors, the scouts, they all absolutely love Kimmich. They would love to have him. He was close to coming several years ago before he joined Bayern Munich. So if Barcelona have the opportunity to sign him, they of course would jump on it. But here's the problem. Bild, which is a German media outlet, very close to Bayern Munich. Their news is very, very reliable when it comes to the Bavarian club. They have said that Bayern Munich are not interested in selling Kimmich, that they're even willing to decline offers worth 100 million euros. So that, of course, puts a whole damper on the whole story because no matter how interested Barcelona are, if Bayern Munich don't want to sell the player, then obviously there's nothing you could do. But on the upside, the same thing Bayern Munich said about Robert Lewandowski. They said that they would never sell him, that no matter how much money they would receive. But yeah, we all know how that story ended, and he did end up coming to Barcelona. So is there a possibility of him coming? Again, if Barcelona had the chance, they would sign him in a heartbeat. But of course, given the club's financial situation, that definitely puts a whole big question mark on this report. I don't think it's going to happen because, again, even if Bayern Munich do decide to sell him, it's not going to be cheap. He is one of the best midfielders in Europe, and I don't think Barcelona would be able to offer him. And even if they could, even if they are able to negotiate a good price, just like Barcelona did with Robert Lewandowski when they negotiated him for 40 million euros, even if they do, I don't think Kimmich is going to come to Barcelona, earning as much as someone like Subimendi or Amrabat. This guy's going to want to be paid big bucks. And again, I think that definitely puts him out of Barcelona's range. Anyways, let's head back to the chat section. And there's one more midfielder that has been linked with Barcelona. Again, it's been a crazy day for news. I can't even keep up with it anymore. I mean, if you are bored, all you have to do is just become a Barcelona fan. There's always things going on at this club. I love it. All right, let's see. Where have we left off? Chuchu says, Mo, seems this shabby man want to get Subimendi instead of Amrabat. Yes, that's his number one choice, but the club have made it clear that there's not a possibility. We can't pay the 60 million that Real Sociedad want. Plus, the player doesn't seem too excited about coming to Barcelona. It looks like he's going to end up in Arsenal, but that could change. So, yeah, Xabi has asked the club to bring him Amrabat because he knows Subimendi is not a possibility. But if it was up to Xabi and there's money, of course, it would be Subimendi. Okay, let's see. Dorza says we need faster movement on the ball, especially in the final third. Yes, 100%, and that's what we saw with Manchester City. You know, those really they would always make it to the box with very short, quick first touch passes, like boom, 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 and they're in. Versus, you know, Barcelona, where we're just having Rafinha run down the wing and then send a cross after cross after cross after cross. And then all the defense of the other team have to do is just mark Lewandowski, and that's it. But when you're doing those fast passes and you have all your players in the box, now all of a sudden your threat multiplies. You have several players who can score, and now the defense of the opposing team all of a sudden don't know who to mark, don't know what to do, and that's when you get them. And that's exactly what we saw today of how Manchester City played against Real Madrid. Curtis says, don't think the Kimmich rumor is true. Bayern has the same attitude as PSG. Lewandowski was only sold because of his age, and they were already trying to replace him. Again, it was a rumor. I'm not saying it's true. It was mostly leaked because as soon as there were news that he wasn't going to renew, obviously media outlets love to link everybody with Barcelona because they know Barcelona are trying to sign players. They know they're still trying to, you know, rebuild the squad. So as soon as there's news of someone rejecting their team, all of a sudden, media outlets come out saying, oh, well, yeah, must be going to Barcelona. Apparently, you know, we're in the market for everybody. Bleacher Boy says, how old is Kimmich? 28, I think. Either 27 or 28. No, 28. He's definitely 28. Musa Ahmad says, hi, Mo. Thank you for bringing us the real news. Thank you for watching. I thank all of you for watching and always supporting the channel. If it wasn't for you guys, you know, there would be no news to bring because it would be just me talking into my camera like a crazy guy. Let's see. Adam says, who is the other player you didn't tell? We're coming to it, Adam. This is the net. So great segue. All right. The third midfielder that has been linked with Barcelona is Marco Verratti. Why? Because apparently Marco Verratti is not happy at PSG. Who would be? The place is an absolute circus. But that's besides the point. So apparently he is not happy at PSG, and he has asked the Parisian club to let him leave this summer. Again, like I just said, whenever there's news of someone wanting to leave their club, media outlets love to just drop stories saying, well, he must be going to Barcelona. But what makes the story even, I guess, a little bit more relevant is that apparently Verratti has become really good friends with Messi. Messi has become good friends with Verratti. They play really well together. Messi's very happy with Verratti's, you know, performance and on the field. And apparently Verratti told Messi that I want to end up wherever you want to end up. So that, of course, coupled with the fact that he wants to leave, media outlets have jumped on this story saying that Verratti is coming to Barcelona since it looks like Messi could end up in Barcelona. Since Verratti wants to end up where Messi wants to end up, that he's coming to Barca. I haven't gotten any confirmation from the club. I really, really doubt this story. There's any truth to it. Barcelona are not interested in bringing Verratti. Again, the only midfielders they're interested in is Amrabat for the pivot position and Gundogan as an interior. So no, there's no truth to the Verratti story. Plus, Barcelona have always liked Verratti, and he was very close to coming to Barca. But he has seen a big decline in his performance. And that's because it's reported that he likes to smoke, he likes to drink, he likes to party late. So unfortunately, that's just not someone that Barcelona will be looking at. You know, we want players who are hungry, want to come here and succeed, not someone who comes, parties all weekend, and then shows up to the match hoping for the best. So those are the three midfielders that have been linked: Rafael Veiga, Verratti, and Kimmich. And then next, we'll talk about another midfielder, not someone that's been linked with Barcelona, but someone that's already in Barcelona, and that's Frank Kessie. But first, let's head back to the chat and see what you guys are saying. City Fan says, Madrid tried to play a very high line from when they were losing. That was the mistake they made and kept making. I think Madrid just didn't know what to do. They did the low line, the low defensive block, and then Manchester City just broke right through it. So then they tried advancing the lines, hoping that they could, they can level or score, and then they got caught anyway. I think there was nothing that Madrid could have done. Manchester City was just that much more superior to them. Grandmaster Yoda says, Man City's players aren't afraid to move the ball forward. They don't act like the ball is on fire and are desperate to pass it to someone. We need to take a few lessons from Pep's book. I agree. But this is one thing that, I always complained about this, about Barca players always just passing the ball like they're playing hot potato without any purpose. But what I've noticed is, and that's because we've all been judging Xabi under the wrong lens, and we've all been judging him under the tiki-taka lens. And that's not tiki-taka. When you're just passing the ball from side to side, that's not tiki-taka, right? Tiki-taka is moving the ball with a purpose. It's triangulations. It's fast passes forward, first touch passes. These mechanisms that Pep Guardiola had, or he still has at Manchester City. But what Xabi likes to play is not a tiki-taka. He likes to what I guess you could say is exploit the space. So his style is more of a defensive style where you have your wall, I guess, with Araujo, Balde, all of those guys. And then what he likes to do is have his midfield just pass the ball back and forth until he sees a space open, and then bam, fast pass to that space, whether it be a long pass or a short pass. That's more of Xabi's style, is attacking the space. And it's not tiki-taka. And I think that's where a lot of the criticism has been coming, because we've been judging him under the wrong lens. We've been judging him about how well he executes tiki-taka. And we've been saying he does a terrible job executing tiki-taka. And it's because he's not executing tiki-taka. He's executing his own version, where it's more of attacking the space, waiting for a space to open and send the ball in. That, of course, hasn't worked too well against low defensive block teams, because, those teams defend with two lines of five. They take all the space in front of the goal. So now all of a sudden attacking the space becomes harder. So that's when you have to depend on your wingers to open that space up by dribbling through players or making those deep runs to the back line, hoping that drag defenders with them. But unfortunately, what the problem is that we don't have besides Dembele, who spent 3 months injured, we don't have wingers that can do that can dribble and open space up. Rafinha, Ferran, and Ansu just can't do that. So that's where the problem has been. But Xabi doesn't play tiki-taka. Okay, one more comment, and then we'll head to the next news. Oh my God, where did we leave off? This chat section completely got away from me. Brad says, Barca just needs to stick with their project. Messi is a pleasant anomaly. Yes, I agree. Okay, maybe one more, because that was a short answer. Let's see. Grandmaster Yoda says, do you think it's safe to say that Barcelona had a better season than Madrid? 100%. Even like before La Liga was won, I was already saying that. Statistically speaking, you look at the numbers, Barcelona are miles ahead of Real Madrid this season. And I don't think Real Madrid's been playing well for quite some time. But they always get lucky in the Champions League. I don't know what it is. And because they do keep winning it, they get this false sense, or the media gets this false sense of Madrid's superiority. But Madrid hasn't played good in a very long time. Last season, they were not the best team in Europe despite winning the Champions League. And the way they won La Liga is because Barcelona and Atletico were just simply awful. But anyways, let's head back to Frank Kessie. Frank Kessie, very important player for the club. They really are counting on offloading him because his market value, he has a market value around 40 million euros in the Serie A and even in the Premier League. He arrived as a free agent, so he's already amortized. So the 40 million euros will be pure profit. And that, of course, would go a long, long way in that Barcelona goal to achieve 100 million euros in player sales per the feasibility plan. So he is on a chopping block. Barcelona do want to sell him. They're counting on this sale. But the problem is that Frank Kessie has informed the club that he doesn't want to leave, that he wants them to honor his contract. He wants to stay at Barcelona, and because he's happy at the club. That, of course, is a problem. Barcelona need to sign players this summer to reinforce the squad. But in order to sign players, they need to offload some. And if they can't offload players, that becomes a huge problem because then we can't sign any. Now, what's going to happen? What I think is going to happen is Xabi, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, is scheduled to meet with several players at the end of the season. One of them is Frank Kessie. And I think Xabi is going to sit down with Frank Kessie and have to tell him, hey, I'm sorry. We would love to count on you, but unfortunately, the situation of the club is not optimal. You need to go. And I think it's all going to be up to Xabi to convince Frank Kessie to kind of be the sacrificial lamb and be offloaded. I feel bad because I do like Frank Kessie. I don't necessarily think he's Barca level. Not that to say he's a bad player. I think Frank Kessie is an excellent midfielder. Just not for Barca's style of play. But I do like the guy. And then it's unfortunate. But, that's the business of football, unfortunately. Anyways, let's get back to the comment section. And then we'll talk about Jordi Alba because he has met with the club. And I have all the news about that meeting that took place between him and Laporta, which apparently took 3 hours. All right. Where did we leave off? Oh, my God. Again, this chat section got away from me. This thought says Man City took it to another level. Xabi must learn from his old master. Yes, Xabi always says that Pep Guardiola is kind of like the person that he wants to emulate, kind of like his reference. But again, Xabi does have a different style of play. Okay. Dark Easy says our midfielders need to be more progressive, create the space. Yes, I agree. And Pedri has done a good job with that. Frankie has been spectacular this season with that. The way he can break lines, either with his dribbling or with his passes, he's been spectacular at doing that as well. Gabi's not so much of a creator. I think he's more of an enforcer, but he still has the ability of making those diagonal passes. Busquets is Busquets. That guy can, pass the ball to anybody. But the problem is that the four of them have only coincided, and I don't want to make this number up. I'm trying to remember the figure, but I think something like 6 or 7 matches the whole season. So that's where the problem has been. Unfortunately, due to injuries, suspensions, the 4 of them have not coincided that often. And those 4, when they're together, they know how to open spaces. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to keep all 4 of them together in that many matches. Okay, let's see. Chuchu says Real had bad teams in USCL. Trying to figure out what you're saying, Chuchu. A weak Liverpool, a dead Chelsea. Okay, you're trying to say that Real Madrid played weak teams. Yes, they did. They definitely did. Let's see. Grandmaster Yoda says our weakness is injuries. When we have depth, we will compete for Champions League. Yes. The problem is we need a deeper bench. I think, Xabi requested 2 players per position, and we did have that, but we didn't have the right players because every team you need a strong bench. Look at Manchester City. Haaland comes off, Julian Alvarez comes in for him, and then 30 seconds later he scores a goal. That's the kind of bench that you need. You need your 11 starters who can create magic, who can score, assist, whatever, but you also have another 11 players on the bench that can come in, and then where the quality of the team stays the same. And that's what we lack this season. We had Dembele, who can create, a lot of danger with his dribbling, open up a lot of spaces, but then he gets injured. Rafinha comes in, and not to, crap on the guy too much, but he's not the kind of guy who can do that, right? So that's where, or Lewandowski, for example, he didn't have a replacement at all. So when he got tired, it was like, all right, what do we do now? On the right back, we don't have anybody. We have Koundé, who's not even the right back. But then if Koundé's injured, who plays in his place? Nobody. Pedri gets injured. Who plays in his place? Nobody. So that's, I think, where the problem is. We need a deeper bench, too. Okay. Darlington says, do you see Barca selling Christensen? No, Christensen is not for sale. Xabi has made it very clear. I think it would be a stupid decision to sell Christensen. He not only came as a free agent, but he has cemented himself as probably one of the best center backs in the world. So why would you want to get rid of one of your best players? Brad says, I still think Kessie can be a great holding midfielder. I don't see it in the way Barca plays. I think he's a very physical, strong defensive midfielder, but he doesn't have the capability of distributing the ball the way a Barca pivot should. And that's where Kessie really lacks. But he does have those box-to-box runs that I like. But unfortunately, plus he made a lot of... As a defensive midfielder, you have to be very careful because you are at risk of really making, dangerous fouls. And unfortunately, Kessie used to make a lot of those. He made that penalty against Real Madrid. That was just stupid. The constant elbows to the faces of opponents. That was very stupid too. And, when you're the pivot of Barcelona and you're holding the midfield, you're the last man in the midfield. You have to be very careful about that. There's some finesse to it, right? But anyways, let's move on to Jordi Alba and then Pablo Torre, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll just do chat. We'll just do chat section. Jordi Alba, we know this guy has a contract until 2024. Barcelona are hoping to offload him because his salary is just astronomical. Not only is it way, way above market value, but we're talking about paying this huge numbers to a guy that's a bench warmer. Doesn't make sense. Barcelona are hoping to offload him. Xabi is set to meet with him to tell him you either reduce your salary or go somewhere else. Well, it seems that he met with Laporta on Tuesday in a meeting that lasted 3 hours. And Jordi Alba made it very clear to Laporta that he has no intention of leaving Barcelona, that he wants to stay until the end of his contract, which is, again, summer of 2024. Now, it seems that Laporta explained to Jordi Alba the situation of the club. He said, hey, we're in a difficult economic situation. We have the feasibility plan that we need to commit to it because if any of those items on the feasibility plan are not met, the whole thing's out the window. Barcelona cannot sign anyone. And Laporta said, we really cannot keep paying your salary. Now, Laporta did not offer to cut the salary. He just said, we can't afford it. But it seems that Jordi Alba understood the situation. And the first impressions are that Jordi Alba is willing to reduce his salary despite Laporta not asking him to. Looks like he volunteered it. So it looks like it was a positive meeting between the two where they both, said what's on their mind. They both understood each other's views. And they both left the club, the meeting, feeling positive about it. We'll have to see, of course. One thing is to say, yeah, I'll reduce my salary. Another thing is to go through it. So we'll have to see whether Jordi Alba will follow through. I think he will. But again, we'll have to wait and see. The last news is very short. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it to you instead of, doing a chat section and then the news. But it's about Pablo Torre. We all know Barcelona want to send Pablo Torre out on loan. He didn't get barely any playing time this season. He's 19. He needs to play. This is a very critical stage of his career. He needs to get as much playing time as possible so he can continue developing. And that way his progress does not plateau. So Barcelona don't think he's yet ready to be, on the first squad. So they don't want him sitting on the bench for another season and completely ruin his career. So instead, they want to send him on loan in the summer. And it looks like most likely, I don't want to say 100% because nothing is 100% in football. It looks like he's going to end up at Villarreal. He's familiar with Quique Setién. Quique Setién is a big fan of him. He wants him. I think that'd be a good loan because, if he can go to Villarreal and play, the whole season, get playing time as much as possible, keep growing and then come back to the club, like Abde is going to do. I think that'd be a positive thing. Anyways, guys, that's all the news. We have a few more minutes. Let's do the chat section. Let's get a discussion going, and then we'll wrap it up and then let you guys resume your lives. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Ruben says, Mo, who do you want to win the final? And do you see us making big signing this summer? I really want, of course, Manchester City. As Pep Guardiola being the coach, I would love Manchester City to win. I also love watching them play. I don't really watch the Premier League, but I do watch Manchester City in the Champions League, and they always put on a show. Big signing. I think Vitor Roque will probably be our biggest signing. Let's see. Chuchu says Kessie in Barca quality, AC Milan or Juventus type. I think so too. And we've seen what level the Serie A is at. I mean, their performance in the Champions League has been awful. But yet they're in the final, so I guess can't take that away from them. Jara or Jara, I don't know which one is it, says our forwards need to be along more clinical in front of goal when we get scoring opportunities, make them count. Yeah, I think more than clinical in front of the goal, I think they need to be more. They need to be better about opening space up, because when you open a space up, you create more chances. When you create more chances, even if you miss half of them, you're eventually going to score. If you create 10 chances and you miss 5, that's still 5 goals. But if you only create 1 chance and you miss that chance, that's 0 goals, right? Let's see. Albo says, bro, if we had the money, who would you take, Alvarez or Vitor Roque? Oof. Oh, my God. That is a difficult question. Wow. I would have any of them. But if I absolutely had to choose, gun to my head, I would say, I want to say Vitor Roque because he is younger and he is more physical. But Alvarez has proven himself on the big stage. I'm just going to go on my gut and say Vitor Roque. Just because he's a more physical forward who can really force his way through defenders, if you may. Sometimes your number 9 has to be strong, especially when you've got, corner kicks or free kicks where you have all these defenders around you. You have to be able to, stand your ground. And Alvarez is not as strong. I don't want to say he's weak. He's not as strong. Okay. Grandmaster Yoda says there's this one player in the Swedish league named Alper Demirol. I hope I said that right. Who is very similar to Boozy. Of course, we can't replace Boozy, but he's someone to investigate. I've never heard of him. Thank you for bringing him up. I'll definitely look him up. But again, we are talking about Swedish league. So even if he is the star of the Swedish league, I don't know, man. Adam says Kessie's clumsy. I agree. He is clumsy. And you can't be a clumsy when you're a Barca pivot. You just can't. You can't afford mistakes. Pancho says, wish we could get a player like Leao. Me too, man. Me too. But you have Bartomeu to thank for that, Okay. Let's see. Hyacinth says he made it and it's 1 p.m. in Nigeria. Wow. Well, thank you for making it, Hyacinth. Brad says, I agree with the loan for Torre. He needs to mature a bit too. Yes. Not just footballistically speaking, but also personally speaking. Apparently, he still needs a little bit more maturing to do. All right. Last one, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. We're already at 42 minutes. I don't want to drag this on too long. I don't want to bore you guys. Chuchu says, Vitor Roque is strong and give him Pedri Dembele. He's going to score goals for fun. I agree. All right, guys. I think that's it. Okay, maybe one last. Because Augusto brought up the right back position. He says, reports Barca wanted a right back, Juan Foyth being the first option, but what are your thoughts on Girona right back and even Pavard? So yeah, Juan Foyth is the number 1 option. There's of course a problem with his price tag, which is around 50 million euros, his release clause. Pavard is not an option. It looks like he's going to renew with Bayern. He wasn't too happy with the offers Barcelona made him. So there's the door. We don't want players who want to come here to make money only. Of course, you should make money, but that shouldn't be your primary goal. And as far as Arnau Martinez, I think he'd be a good choice to rotate with, but not a starter, because I don't think he's there yet. I like Arnau as a player. He obviously is familiar with the Barca style of play, having come up through the Barca Academy. He wants to come to the club. He's said it a million times, but I don't think he's there yet where he can be the starting right back for Barcelona. So I think he would be, for me, I think I would bring him more of a substitute and hope he gets better and rotate him. And then if he does eventually get better, then make him the starter. But I don't think he's there yet. Anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, don't forget about the raffle. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, send an email to the email that's down below in the description. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Hopefully, we'll have more good news. I'm sure we will. It's Barcelona, and it seems like nobody sleeps there because there's always news coming out of the club, which, of course, makes my job much more entertaining. Thank you guys again. Have a good night, or if you're somewhere in the world where it's not night, have a good day. And as always, Visca Barça.